And I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But yeah, right. Nice.
That's funny.
That's fun,
you.
yeah. 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 Hi, my name's Roger. No, it's funny. I have a question. Is it?
Yeah.
When it's with your first car. Now, is the first car you bought, or is it like? In my case, it's the one I kind of inherited family wise.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of have two first cars because of that. You know.
Sure. Yep. I'd like to hear both.
Sure. It seems that. The first one I inherited was my grandfather's car. It was a 1978 Ford Thunderbird.
Okay, Thunderbird.
Yeah.
Cool.
This year, when you step out on the town, don't just drive. Take off in the 1978 Thunderbird. With its distinctive look and size, its Thunderbird quality and comfort. And it comes at a down-to-earth price of $58.08 with automatic transmission, power steering, power brakes, V8 and more. Flight test the 1978 Thunderbird. When America needs a better idea, Ford puts it on wheels.
Nicknamed Thunderchicken.
Yeah.
Once I got it, and that was my grandfather bought that new in 78, 77, 78. So I rode in it for years in a way as a kid, and then when my grandfather couldn't drive anymore, you could say, he gave it to my mom, and briefly, and then eventually I ended up with the car. So it's a family heirloom I inherited in a weird way.
Right on.
Just when it was time for me to get a car, there it was.
What year did you inherit?
Let's see, that would have been 90, 78 car, and it was 90, was it 2, I believe, when I got it, when I started driving it regularly.
Okay. 15 years.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
No, yeah, it was still, yeah. My grandfather always took care of his cars and stuff, so it was really still in good shape at that time. I'm probably the one who put it out of its, put more miles on it in a way,
Right.
than him combined and stuff too. And
That's a cool looking car.
it was a cool car. It's like it was a tank. People, it was, especially when I was driving it in the 90s. By that time, cars had gotten definitely way smaller and stuff, even in the 80s. And so
Yeah.
It was. I could feel it was kind of nice. I knew if I did get an accident, I'm probably going to win. Unless it's a semi or a big truck or something. But
How'd you parallel park that thing?
I probably didn't. Yeah, maybe once in a while, but I feel like I did much. Now
Yeah.
you mentioned it. Yeah. Yeah. So I drove that for a few years. I'm from Minnesota. That was actually the car I had when I moved to North Dakota. Had that when I lived in Grand Forks, and I had it when I moved to Bismarck. Actually, that was my
Nice.
yeah. So I brought that over here.
Pretty top notch when you got it, though.
It was. I can't remember the miles. Anything quite too far back in a way to remember that in a sense.
Yep.
But it was in good shape. Yeah, that engine was a beast. Even when I did eventually sell it, that engine was a good selling point.
Yeah. Well, the whole front end of that car it's another car length on its own.
Exactly. Yeah.
God
yeah.
damn.
Yeah. One of the reasons I got rid of it, I unfortunately had an accident. I slid down in the winter. I used to live in this apartment complex, and I slid. So to get out of my parking spot, I had to go down this hill, which was ridiculous, especially with a car like that.
Yeah.
The whole rear wheel, not made for winters, really, in a sense, not real good. And so I slid into the back of a truck that was parked, and that took out one of the lights. I think the driver's side front light, and that was that was a sign. I got some work done on that. Then I unfortunately had another accident on the other side of it. Not too long after that, something seemed like maybe the writing was on the wall a little bit to get rid of it. And I kind of wanted something new. It never was quite mine, too. Like kind of what we're talking about.
Sure.
That But I was that family, keeping that in the family.
Yeah. Until you wreck it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. But that was probably 3-4 years I drove that thing. When I think about it, pretty solid run, for what it was, and got me through those years, you could say. But then it was time to let it go. Yeah.
So that was your first, you would just call your inherited car.
Yeah. I wouldn't since it wasn't ever, I didn't quite buy it, even new or even used new. To me, kind of.
Right. Didn't feel like your own.
Right. It was a family one, which was cool. I liked driving my grandfather's car. That's something, felt really good about that too,
Yeah.
Because he bought it new and all that. But yeah, it wasn't never mine really. So yeah, I let that go. It was fun. I sold it, and like 5 years later, I saw it around town because I still had a bumper sticker that I put on there, so I knew, hey, that's mine.
Oh, yeah.
So I was glad to see it was still on the road,
Yeah.
Of course, I was thinking, God, maybe I should have kept that. That car's still going, But
That's funny.
But it was good to see it still,
Right.
At least 5 years later, it was still going.
Yeah.
Because the guy who bought it, I could tell he probably fixed up the body work and actually did. It looked nice, when I did kind of look at it that one time when I saw it. And
Okay.
So, the right person got it too, which is always kind of nice, especially with a family car like that.
It could be still around
It
today.
could be, yeah. Yeah, I'm glad I got a good feeling about where it went, so
Nice.
it wasn't just going to be scrapped for parts or something.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people's cars just go straight to the junkyard or Johnson's.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, some cars, whatever, but I would hate to see that car just go right to that,
Yeah.
It's been over 25 years, so I guess if it's there now, okay,
Right.
But I know it made it to the 21st century, at least, or close, for sure. I was like 99, when I spotted it in town.
Funny.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you want to move on to your second then. Your
Sure.
official car you bought yourself?
Yes.
So you saved up?
Yeah, I had some money. I was kind of saving up. It's funny. I was thinking about getting. I think the new town thing. I was thinking about getting a car even before I knew this was I was not good on gas to that big tank.
Right.
So that was something a little newer, maybe a little nicer, a little smaller. All those things. I probably should have got one better for winter, but I didn't. I did. It's a little better than my. But I feel like I upgraded, and I was feeling something different, and one that was mine. So I saved some money up, and eventually, after those accidents, I got a '91 Mercury Cougar. Was also silver, same color.
Okay.
I didn't plan that, but there I saw that was like it's drawn to that. I don't know. That might be a running theme with people when you do this.
Right. Familiar.
What is the draw? I guess people have favorite colors and stuff, which they can have, or different models, or there might be a Ford family, it might be those kind of things.
Yeah,
they do.
yeah.
Those are kind of built in, and I guess my family is sort of a Ford thing, even though it wasn't like a stern
Right.
battle.
Built for tough.
Yeah, it never came from that. But
I never understood those
me neither. Yeah.
people who stick to one type of vehicle and then just shit on the other. I guess I've only noticed it with Chevy and Ford.
Right. That seems
Ford
like the big,
guys talk shit about Chevy. Chevy guys talk shit about Ford.
Yeah, it's crazy how many conversations I've heard about that. And
Right.
The V8-powered Mercury Cougar XR7. It comes with speed-sensitive steering, anti-lock brakes, and a new high-output V8 that's pure adrenaline, which means the top dog is now a cat. All this and the quality of a Mercury.
I was looking for a car without kind of looking. I like that one. Seemed like the right one in a way. Something about it. It's hard to explain almost why I was drawn to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, part of the price, I guess.
Any perks?
Not really. It's funny, the irony that they had the seat belts that automatically went, when you shut the door. And I thought, oh, that's cool. That felt really and futuristic.
Yeah.
But then the classic here in the winter, those would get cold, and man, I had to go in there and work on those.
It would stick.
That was
You
a
just
hassle.
have to pull it shut or something.
Right, and you still had to do the lap belt anyway. It wasn't like it was this magical thing.
Right.
You think it would just do it all,
Yeah.
So you still had to do it, so you didn't, save any time in that sense too. So
That's funny. I remember as a kid, I was hearing about those types of seatbelts. At the same time, I heard about a car accident where a woman's head was decapitated because of the seatbelt.
Oh yeah.
Now, in my mind as a kid, I was thinking it was the electric seatbelt got like all crazy and just zipped up real fast and cut her head off. Yeah. I was like, and then I kind of had this like weird fear of automatic seatbelts.
Is that gonna? Yeah.
Yeah. Is it going to slide up, cut my head off real quick?
It's got a mind of its own. Yeah.
But I was a dumb kid. So.
Yeah. It's like, I can. Yeah. So those were cool, but there's a reason why you don't see those anymore. Because those were
They
just didn't last, especially the driver's side. And it started making the crazy noise. It wouldn't wouldn't work.
Right. Which would just chime on the whole time you're trying to drive. I suppose.
Yeah. So me and a friend, we took it apart and dug in there and fixed it at least twice over when I had that. I think that second time we finally did kind of do something where it worked again, but they were never ever really a good thing.
Yeah.
They always, they'd act up.
That sounds like a pain in the ass.
Yeah. I think what they were thinking, that was definitely when they were changing the seatbelt laws, making wanting people to always
like
wear
you
where they
have
started to
to
enforce
wear
it. Yeah, we're going to pull you over because of it. So I think, let's build a car where people just, because people wouldn't.
It's too much of a hassle to reach over and click it in.
We'll make you have to wear it, kind of thing. So that's cool. I always wore my seatbelt anyway before that, and so I kind of liked it. I don't care,
Do you recall if you had a tape deck, CD player?
I thought it was just AM, FM in there.
Okay.
I thought about getting something else, and I thought, man, I probably should have a cassette player in here, but it didn't. But I didn't worry about that too much.
Right.
I've always kind of liked trying to, especially back then, I'd stumble upon stuff. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I guess I grew up that way too, where we had an 8-track and one thing, but a lot of times my dad in particular, we just flip around until you find something.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of fun. I still do that search,
Yeah.
I don't need to have my.
I kind of miss the motion of it, where you also get the static and then different radio stations that kind of come in. Where nowadays you just hit next, it skips over everything.
Right.
You could get some weird stuff coming in.
Yeah,
sometimes.
coming from who knows where.
Right.
Sometimes. Yeah. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Is this,
and then you try to try to tune in a little bit and listen. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if you ever had cable growing up where they would kind of show a static version of Cinemax.
Yeah.
And you'd kind of see boobs.
Yeah.
Right. That's all you needed.
Yeah, right. It would just go in. Yeah. God, there's a name. There's like a slang for that too. Richard, I know knows. I don't know if it's just in his circle of friends or whatever back then, but there's a name for that.
That's funny.
Yeah. It is kind of your radio stations are kind of like that, or there's that version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just want to get into that sweet spot of boob sounds,
Right, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes,
there it is.
There'd be 2 stations, and I'd try to almost like mash up. Sometimes you could find for a little bit, and then one would probably go out when she just kept driving or whatever. But sometimes there'd be that you get a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of miss that when I think about it. I guess you could still do that. But it seems like you can't, though. Like you said, it's almost too
it's
perfect
all
now or
it's just automated. Yeah.
Maybe AM is maybe a little more open like that. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I feel like when I've been on
it depends on that damn radio.
Right. Yeah.
Not a lot of dials, just straight up buttons.
Yeah, it doesn't almost let you do that, or even if you do scan.
Yeah, that tap.
Yeah, it doesn't quite. It's not like the knob.
Right, the knob. There was something about the knob turning where you could just get it.
Yeah. Something is lost there. But.
Right. But then again, there could be a lot less stations being put out,
Right, that's true too.
If we had Schweitzer on here, he would just go on for hours.
That'll be a good Schweitzer. Yeah. You can just ask him that one question. There's your.
I'll get him on here and then I'll cut him in.
Yeah, right. That's good. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, you should have it sound like he's interrupting from another station. That'd be good, yeah.
This is a 2-door.
A 2-door, yeah.
So if you had more than 2 friends, are you like get in on that side, or were you like, all right, trying to lean the seat forward and like, all right, get in, squeeze in behind me?
It might depend if is the car running or what's the situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was tough getting back to that moving that seat. It's a pretty nice back seat once you got in, but that whole.
You ever sit in the back seat of your own car?
Yes. Because I did sleep back. I guess I could get to that story. I did sleep back on a road trip later. But I never rode in it when it was moving, though. It's funny you mentioned. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I never had someone else drive it and row it, but I slept back in the back seat a few times. But never,
Why?
Well, I guess, yeah, I if there's any journey I went on that with that car, a few years later, it'd have been '01. It was, August 30th, '01. It's like, I need to, what am I doing? I need to figure out what I'm doing with my life in a way. I just want to get on the road and go. I had some vacation days. I'm going to take 2 weeks off and just drive. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go west. I'd never been out west, really. Never been to Montana at that point. I traveled east and kind of a little bit of south with my family and stuff, but the furthest west I'd ever been was Bismarck or Mandan, I guess, Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go west and just drive and see where I end up. Kind of had that Forrest Gump moment, I think, when he runs.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
Just that. I didn't think of that at the time, but I watched Forrest Gump again later, years later. I kind of did. I get that. So I just wanted to drive. So I just drove, got to Montana, I got to Bozeman, and I saw those mountains. I drove through the night kind of thing. I got to Bozeman, and the sun was coming up, and then I flipped a coin if I was going to keep going west. Or if it heads, and if it's south, or if it's tails, I'm going to go south. So it was tails. So then I went south, and I have an aunt in Arizona, Kingman, Arizona. I'm like, I'm going to go I'm going to get that far at least, go down and see her. And Jeremiah Polachek, a friend of mine, was in Flagstaff down there too, so I'm going to go see them. So I thought maybe I'll go the Washington way and the coast, But I let the coin answer it, but let's see what happens. So I ended up going south, and I ended up hitting the mountains anyway, kind of in Utah and Idaho in particular. It's crazy. Those Rockies find their way through there. You can't avoid them in a way unless you stay on this side of Colorado, I guess. But I went down and just drove. Drove through Nevada, and I got to Vegas, and I turned into Vegas and drove down the Strip once, looked around. And, that's cool. But I did the Strip one time, and then I just got out of there.
Yeah.
That was my first time in Vegas, and I feel like that was my favorite time there. But I can say there's fun there, I know, but I feel like that was all I needed on that trip anyway. And then cut through, and I wanted to go into California. Never been to California before. I was going to see how far I got. And then something told me, I thought about going to the coast. Never been to the ocean yet, too. We'll see how far I get. But I got to Barstow, which isn't too far in the desert there. And I just had a moment of like, I better turn around. So I turned around, and that's when I called my aunt, who was in Arizona. And so I hung with her for a day, and then I drove to see Jeremiah Polachek. He was in Flagstaff going to school, and that was when I found that I was sleeping in my car on these. It was a couple days before I got to this, and I was sleeping in my car. That was nice to go to Gerald and just crash there and kind of chill for at least a day or two. I was there, good hanging with him and talking with him about the future. Didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to make glasses. It was more in life than that, I just knew it. I didn't know if I wanted to be in Bismarck anymore. I didn't have family there. And really, what am I doing there,
Right.
Yeah, so good to talk with him about that. And he didn't necessarily have the answers, but, who does? I guess I do, or I got to figure it out on my own, Then he's like, you should go to the Grand Canyon, though. So I went to the Grand Canyon, and I was going to stay there for the night, probably in there. And I got in there, and it's so big. I don't know if you've been to the Grand Canyon.
No.
Just incredible. Seen the pictures before in vacation and all,
sure,
the movies, but wow, it's insane. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. And I had a moment where I'd been driving alone all this time, but that Grand Canyon, when I had a moment where I just felt so small. Like that was the first time on the trip I'd felt like lonely, like alone. Kind of, it felt weird. Felt kind of good though too. Mm-hmm. But it was, I had to get out of there, though. Like, it kind of was, this is almost too big for me to be here alone or something. So I didn't stay the night. I just got out of there, Spent that $20 at the gate, to get in. I'm out of here, too. So I got out of there, and I can't remember quite enough that night. Eventually went through Colorado, and that's when I got to Boulder and went out on Pearl Street there. That's where a lot of people hang out, and And that's why I don't know. I think after that loan, like looking back, I didn't think of it at the time, but looking back at that loan, I want to be around people. Like I could tell after that lonely moment at the Grand Canyon, all of a sudden I wanted to be around people, bunch of people. So yeah, I went and saw some rockabilly show. There was a bunch of people. I was dancing, having fun, just meeting people. Never see again. Doesn't matter. Just wanted to talk to everybody, which I never quite felt that social before. Mm-hmm. And I saw some people playing and busking in the street. And this guy had an extra drum. And I sat in with them. And I drummed before, but I never really busked before. So kind of had that experience too. And just, yeah. On that trip, I realized I need to drum again too. Like I drummed in school, but I kind of forgot. As you got to be an adult now, kind of thing. And so yeah, that kind of came out of that too, and had a great couple days there in Colorado. Even thought about actually maybe this is where I should move. This is a lot of fun. Everybody's dancing, having. But I knew I couldn't think about that at the moment really. And then my trip was kind of winding down. Like I was going to do 2 weeks. I was like, well, I'm going to do this trip. I should go see my folks. I should end with my folks up in Minnesota there, and my sister. And I thought, okay, I could get there, and I could meet them. They live, maybe they can, I knew they didn't want to really come down to Minneapolis there. It might be hard for them to come down. So I met them halfway. I was going to meet them halfway in a town called Hinckley, Minnesota, which is north of Minneapolis, but south of Duluth there. And so I ended up in Sterling, Minnesota, which is right out of Minneapolis. I counted how many states I've been in. It was the 13th day. It was the 12th or 13th day. And I counted and I had 13 states at that point. So I was like, 13 states, and it'll be 13 states in 14 days. I was like, wait a second, I'm right by Wisconsin. I was like maybe 10 miles from Wisconsin. So I got in the car and just drove over the border of Wisconsin just to say I was in there. Then I came back in just to do so 14 states in 14 days.
Yeah.
So yeah, I stayed in Sterling. I'd gotten a hotel or two a couple times on the trip. Crashed at Jeremiah Polachek's. But I talked with my folks about meeting them the next day. So I got a hotel that night in Sterling. And that was the only time I set an alarm on the trip too. Otherwise I just woke up whenever,
Nice.
Maybe a little bit with the hotels to make sure I didn't miss my, how that type of thing. But yeah, it was the only time I set an alarm. And I got up earlier than any other time. And the kicker is I said I left August 30th, 2001, and that when I woke up in Sterling on that alarm, that was September 11th, 2001. So I woke up, the alarm was some DJ talking about some plane had hit one of the towers. That was my alarm clock to that. So, what's that? So I turned on the TV while I was getting ready.
Wow. We
all know what happened.
Yeah.
So I saw that second plane hit the tower. Live. Holy shit. Wow.
Where are you?
I was in Sterling, Minnesota.
Yeah.
And here, so I was like, I called my parents. I'm like, you seeing this? What's going on? And they're like, yes. And they were like, should we still meet? Should we, what's going on? It's like, well, let's do it. I'm going to get out of here. I'm not staying here for sure, but I understand they're at home. Maybe they want to stay at home, But let's meet. They were already planning on going. My sister had taken the day off, so they came down to Hinckley, the meeting point. So we went. I met them there, and we ate lunch. And I told them about my trip. And of course, we're watching all this unfold on the screens there. And I don't see my family too much. Maybe 2 weeks a year, maybe 10 days.
Wow.
Or, I like to see them more. But they live there. I live here. I try to go back twice a year. I'm going actually next week to see him. So it's weird of all the fact that I was with my family that day.
Yeah.
That's just, I feel like that's like some destiny thing of all on my trip too. Like if that would happen a couple days into my trip, that would have threw my trip all off.
Sure.
It's crazy. It was the last day I was going to meet them there. And I was going to drive back to Bismarck. And so we hung there, and my sister had to work the next day. Otherwise, I might have stayed there. We might have stayed there, but she had enough trouble getting that one day off a little bit, on the short notice. But we hung, and then they went home, and then I came back to Biz. And on that car, the 91 Cougar, there was only the AM/FM radio.
Mm-hmm.
So on the ride back, the whole time I was trying to find a song, any song.
Yeah.
But every station was just talking about 9/11.
Yeah, you couldn't escape
right,
that.
which I understand. That was the day. But man, I just wanted any song to get my mind off of it.
Yeah.
I just ended up turning the radio off and drove in silence.
Huh.
Yeah. It's crazy to have my trip end on that day. I feel like that 2 weeks on that journey, I was almost like saying goodbye to the 20th century or something, or in some way, at least that was at least for myself, almost saying there was definitely
in a sense you did. So much changed after that,
Yeah. I caught a last little farewell party a little bit.
Yeah.
At least for my own self. And
yeah. Your own little freedom.
Yeah. And that car got me through that. It's crazy just driving that car. And
It's so weird that how did you plan a vacation and then at one point just flip a coin?
I knew I was going to drive out, and on that trip, I had the light bulb went off. I'm going to see my aunt in Kingman, Arizona. It's not far from Vegas, North Arizona there. And my coin flip was, okay, should I go around down Cali to get there? Or should I cut?
Oh, okay. It was just which way you would go.
Yes, because I'd reached the mountains in Bozeman there. Is right when you're kind of going to enter those overpasses through the mountains. And I thought I'd better decide here. It's a crucial moment to decide. Do I want to go into those mountains? Or I want to go, I guess I ended up going through the mountains in the south way, kind of cut down, kind of by Yellowstone there too. So that was just that flip. Either way, my goal was to get down. But I don't know, who knows, that flip who knows where I would have ended up.
Yeah.
Or when I would have,
Yeah, right.
That's another life, I guess, another
alternate reality.
That could have happened, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting how those things work like that.
Do you recall, were you using just straight up maps?
Yeah, I had an atlas. I picked up an atlas.
Yeah.
Just, looking, Just
a road map.
Yep, looking ahead. A lot of times I just kind of drive. Oh, that says south. I'll go that way because I want to go south, even though I didn't quite know. But then it was times I would look, okay, should I go through, do I want to go through Utah at all, maybe? And I kind of wanted to, I got been to Utah before. Let's go through Utah. Let's kind of make the trip, do that. When I maybe could have went a different way. So I only did the one coin flip. And I kid you, like I said, I had the radio in the AM/FM, and I know, I tried to go with what we were talking earlier, whatever I would find. And I know this song I'm about to mention is a popular tune, but I swear I know it. 8 to 9 days out of that trip, U2's song I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For would come on. I know that's a popular song, but
right,
especially on that trip when I was I still haven't found what I'm looking for. What am I doing? And it's crazy that but when I just couldn't believe what that song was like finding me the last couple times. I'm like, are you serious? Like just crying about it. Like, really? I don't even like U2 that much. But every time I hear that song ever since, I have a little, special place, I guess, for that song. So that's the cool thing about trying to find different songs on the radio, like we were talking about too.
Yeah. I remember hearing that whoever the radio gods are after 9/11 were instantly like, oh, we got to take off all of these songs off the radio. And it was songs that either artists died in a plane crash or talked about traveling or planes. It just so weird that
Down by Mellencamp, I think, was on that list or something.
Yeah,
which I see the reference, but right. I mean, that's not what he's talking. He's not directly talking about.
It's so goofy how they control your sense of enjoyment just by events, Right.
And when I got back, like I said, I thought, God, I got to get out of here. Like, what am I doing in Bismarck? Thought I should move. I thought, like I said, I thought about moving to Colorado, just going there without really, maybe you could find a job, maybe not, whatever, just kind of go. And so I thought about it. I was looking into maybe moving there, doing something. And then I had the thought, well, I guess I should look more here, what's going on too. Like, is that here maybe? Is there people here that I had such good luck those couple days there just stumbling into these situations with these people with the music and playing with those guys on the street and I wasn't even trying then, but maybe if I tried here, what's going on? I haven't really looked into that world here that as much too. Like I got, and that just by like wanting to drum again and play music again. And so then it's weird, about a month or so later is when the Green Earth Cafe open mic started going, and so then I went there and brought some hand drums there and met some people like, hey, you want to drum with me? And ended up meeting a bunch of people, and that led to me, you want to be in a band with me? You want to drum in my band? And all of a sudden I'm in a band, and all of a sudden I'm in another band, and now here I'm still doing it. It's crazy how, so that trip, a lot came out of that trip.
Yeah.
Road trip. It's crazy. I worked some stuff out, even though I didn't know it. And
yeah, really, the coin flip kind of sent you on where you are today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's not, I guess. I was looking for the answers, and I found some.
You still flip a coin?
Sometimes. It's funny, when I'm at this is not as big of a choice, but maybe it is. I'm at a restaurant sometimes when I can't figure out the two things I want.
Oh, sure.
I'll do that. I mean, that's an easy one, but I still, I like, let's let it decide so that I can't argue the coin in a way.
Yep.
Yeah, but I don't do it. That's probably the biggest coin flip I've done. I know it is. That kind of thing for that trip. But I knew there was no wrong either, too. Like, I bet Missoula I would have had a blast. Who knows?
Yeah,
or
right.
not. But I know I would have experienced something. I was on a certain path. And
you ever gone that way?
yeah, I did later. That's the kind of cool thing, too. I did end up going to Missoula and out to the coast. And actually, I lived out in Seattle. It was like probably 10 years after this road trip I'm talking about. So yeah, I definitely did that path a few times and stuff later. So,
cool.
So it's not something I'm still wishing would have landed heads, I guess.
Right.
That's good too, in a way.
Doing.
Yeah. But it's fun how that's still connected too, because I ended up going out with Gypsy Foot. We ended up going out there as a band too. That was the first time I went out there. And yeah, and it's fun. I'll be on these tours, and I'll still, even I'm be like, oh yeah, I saw this back in 2001. I'll kind of touch on the road trip I just described. Sometimes I'll see something I saw then, or I'll know we're on the same road, or it's crazy too. I know, back to the car thing, and back to Forrest Gump, I guess, like when he ran and ran and ran, and he just stopped. And it's crazy. Once I got back from that road trip where I just wanted to drive forever, once I got back, all of a sudden I didn't really want to drive anymore.
Oh yeah,
like
you're just done.
Yeah, like I had that Cougar for a couple more years. I drove to see my folks once or twice with it for sure. I think I took the bus a couple times. Even like, well, I don't want to drive anymore. I'll take the bus. Like, it's weird. I never really have, to this day. I biked here for this interview today. I haven't owned a car in like 18 years. It's like I kind of got it out of my system.
I got to tell you,
I still have a driver's license. I'll drive, but
when you told me you wanted to be on the podcast,
yeah,
I thought you were going to bring up like your old Schwinn or
nice.
Huffy,
Sure,
whatever it was.
Sure.
But I was like, you know what? Fine, let's hear about it.
Yeah, I could talk
But
bikes.
I don't think I've ever seen you drive.
Yeah, it's rare. It's usually I got to move my drums somewhere. It's usually
Good
like
point.
I got to make a move, or I'll do on tours and stuff, I'll do some legs. Even then, I'm probably the third or fourth man up to the wheel, though, I guess, in a way. Mm-hmm. But I'll do some legs. I'll do some once in a while. But yeah, in town it's rare. Like, I bet I've went calendar years without driving. I just don't keep track.
Oh, I've seen you out in winter.
Yeah.
Like, do you get special tires?
No,
the hell are you doing?
I just push it till the ice won't let me, and then I just walk.
Okay.
Yeah. There are those tires. I've thought about getting even a second bike with those tires. And then it's a second bike. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know I should probably, but usually when it gets that icy and that treacherous on the wheels, usually mean it's that treacherous on your face and your glasses. I notice if you can't, there's a moment when the ice and your glasses, the fog of your glasses almost meet up.
Yeah.
Where you can't see and it's not safe.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've felt that out. It's just not worth it. So I'll walk.
Right on.
Yeah.
You ever haul your drums on your bike?
I thought about getting one of those trailer things, even for like groceries. That'd be nice too. And I almost did. I think Brendan Clayson used to have one of those, and I think I almost got his, but then that didn't line up. Yeah, I thought about it. I don't know. With the hardware bag, it might be tough. If it was just the drums, but the dang hardware that's tough.
Yeah.
That's a killer.
Yeah.
Shout out, thank you to everybody who's ever moved my drums around over these years. You know who you are. Thank you. I haven't thought about those cars this much in a while. It's kind of fun to reminisce about both those cars. I kind of forgot they were both silver in a way, to that connection in a way, or haven't thought that for a while. And maybe think of my grandfather too, which is always good, and those kind of things. And it was good.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. Well, let me just ask you. Can you remember?
Let's do it.
What all bands did you play in?
Yeah, I've been in a band called Buffalo Alice. I was in a band called Gypsy Foot, I Like You, Public Joy, Brain Monster, Anonymous Phenomenon, Shaky Calls, Prairie Wranglers, Johnny Spud. I'm forgetting some, I'm sure. But yeah. And I've been, I got a poetry, spoken word bonanza project called the Roger Nordquist Mind Explosion, which is, I feel like always going on in my head. Yeah. And I wrote a book as well. It's called Living the Daydream. And hope you have a good time.